It's about 7 o'clock, so we'll start the meeting. Charlie, you're going to lead us in flag salute, so would you stand up?
Thank you for standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, it's a gorgeous day. It's time to start, and so I will turn the first part of the meeting over to our superintendent.
Yes, good evening, everybody, and thank you for being here tonight. Charlie, I want to say I think that was the best start to a Pledge of Allegiance we've had in a couple of years, so nice work there. We do this once a month. If you can talk to your parents about coming back and leading each of our Pledge of Allegiances, you'd be welcome anytime. So I'd like to give a little report about things that happened between the last time we met and now, just to highlight some of the great things that are going on in the district. One of the wonderful things we got to do was honor 3 wonderful young students at the Seroptimus dinner. And so you can see Addison and Sharanya and Krishna that are there. And I also want to say a special thank you to Anna Perales and Teresa D'Alfonsi, 2 of our principals that are heavily involved in the leadership of Seroptimus and help to bring great things to our district. So thank you to them both. It was fun to walk around and see so many great things going on, but one of the things that I always appreciate is the diverse offerings that we have out here. So this is Edna Hill Middle School, where you have some students making guacamole and some students doing wood shop, and so it's great to see that we continue to have those opportunities out there. Guerin PTA had their first annual spring fling dance, and just want to take the time to thank all of our parent leaders that do such a great job trying to build community within our schools, and it really creates a great opportunity for students and staff and families to all come together to great events like this. Also want to thank all of the students and staff who participated in the second annual Community Day of Service for Brentwood that was on Saturday, April 12th. So these are, you can see Chocho, who's one of our wonderful office leads out at Adams Middle School out there. But we had lots of families that came out for the trash pickup. Bristow Middle School led the painting of a room, and it looks pretty impressive out there. And so they were a little tired afterwards. So thanks to everybody who came out and did that. And then Guerin added a brand new TK play area for students out in their garden area. So really a great time to bring people out and great projects. Another event here's Loma Vista Family Bingo Night. And so also a memorable night for families. Believe it or not, it's open house time. So Bristow kicked that off April 15th, showcasing a lot of the great work that had taken place this year, and also giving an opportunity for some of the elementary families to come out and see the 5th grade families to see what might be present at the middle school they're going to. Harvest Grove did their Steam Erupting Volcanoes event with Mrs. Weekly and Mrs. Elseth. It's a very fun event to go out and see. You could see out there at Veterans Park, having a great time. That is a snake. This is Jungle James and Montañez first graders, and they did just like a field trip. We did a count before and a count after the assembly to make sure we had the same number of students. But one of the things about Brentwood is that sometimes it's difficult to get to field trips because of the cost of transportation, and sometimes the best thing to do is to be able to bring a field trip to the students. So this was a great opportunity for students. We had the honor of being present at the San Ramon Marriott, where Adams Middle School Vice Principal Abby Wheeler was honored as a Region 6 finalist for Co-Administrator of the Year. And so that was really fun to be out there and celebrate her. So I want to congratulate Abby. We were so proud to be out there with her. And so congratulations to Abby. I told her that we were officially done on her honoring tour, so we had to, but it was fun to do while we can. Also, a new thing that I hadn't seen before, the San Jose Sharks holded an autism acceptance group night, and so Bristow teachers, Mr. Henry and Mr. Souza, took a group of students out there, and they got to go behind the scenes and also enjoy the game. So what a great opportunity for all those kids, and thank you to both of those teachers, Mr. Henry and Mr. Souza, for doing that. This is some artwork in Mrs. Othman's class, and Cray's celebrating Arab American Month. And so that message that's up at the top says, "Welcome to our school," with some of the artwork that student created. So that was great. April 22nd was a celebration night for all of the students who participated and were moved on to the district finals at the Brentwood Community Center for the Student Art Show. And so you can see Claire up there, whose art was awarded Best in Show. And so just a really fabulous opportunity. I think, Michael, the art is still up there, I think, for a little bit longer, maybe. The art has been taken down. So, but it was up there for a little while. Next year, I'll get a reminder, but we get to take the first and second floor. It's a great opportunity to showcase so much student work. This is Ron Nunn Elementary School celebrating their students who leveled up on their state testing. So any students who met standards, exceeded standard, or any student increased a level were invited to this special ceremony. So congratulations to those students in getting ready for testing. Also, this is the time of the year where we really try to get our 5th grade students excited about joining our middle school bands, and also an opportunity to celebrate all their accomplishments throughout the year that they've been able to make. So in this case, Loma Vista, Marsh Creek, Montañez, and Pioneer came together at Bristow for their Bandapalooza. For those who've been around for a while, we used to have one Bandapalooza, but now we have multiple Bandapaloozas to bring all of them together. Also, I know board members, many of you were here to celebrate on April 24th when we were up at Trilogy to celebrate our Employees of the Year. What a wonderful event it was to celebrate them, some service recognition awards, and also some retirees. And I also want to thank Jenny Clark in HR and her whole team for putting together such a great event in our first time at Trilogy. It was a big success. And thank you to Mr. Calabrese for all your work in emceeing that. You did a great job. April 27th, How Does Your Garden Grow? Out at Guerin with their first graders. And so, as always, we have a lot of teachers who work behind the scenes to give these great performance opportunities for students and for families to come out and see them. As we continue a focus on science, these are some of our 5th grade science out at Montañez, and looking at plant growth, and then recording changes as they see it, and learning about photosynthesis. So great science opportunities. And then Ron Nunn, of all you students, did any of you participate in the first grade square dance when you were first graders? Do you remember? No? All right, never mind. That seemed like that was going to be a good question when I thought of asking it. It wasn't. So an annual tradition, first grade square dance, always out at Ron Nunn, and always a popular one. Here's next Bandapalooza, Brentwood L, Mary Casey Black, Guerin, and Edna Hill Middle School. And thanks again to all the directors, Mrs. Breitenbucher for hosting out there. And then more Guerin performances. This was a performance that hadn't been done for many, many years. And I want to thank Mrs. Ambuel, Mrs. Colton, Mrs. Ludwig, Mrs. Orlando, and Mrs. Sawyer for helping to put this 2nd grade performance together for so many students. And then Loma Vista held their first annual multicultural night where families came and shared food and artifacts and lessons about their culture. So a really fun event out there. And then I want to thank our friends at the Bayer Nail House and from the East Contra Costa Historical Society, who do a great job putting on local history events for our 3rd grade students every year. So these are students from Cray that got to go out and visit the school teacher and the old house and learn about what life might have been like had they been here many, many years ago. And then just a chance to, here's Edna Hill honoring on May 2nd was lunch, food services team's lunch hero day, just to acknowledge the amazing work that goes on every day to feed a majority of our students 2 meals a day. And so how lucky we are to have such dedicated food service individuals as part of that. Another, as we did CASP testing over the last couple weeks. So here's Mary Casey Black. And I love this, that Gabby is up there. You probably can't see her in the picture, but on the left-hand side, she's up there giving inspirational words to her fellow students. And then you have Mr. Dory and Mrs. Steele playing the air guitar and just making them laugh. So a good chance to honor them. Gold Duster Bust, 4th grade tradition out at Mary Casey Black. I am almost done. I know there's a lot to celebrate in May. It was hard to pick all the pictures. Last week was Staff Appreciation Day, and I just want to thank everybody that went above and beyond to just honor all of the staff members that out at our sites. You can see lots of examples of food and decoration and gifts, and just a really a special way to thank all the people who work so hard to support other people's children. So thank you for all those parent-teacher clubs. This is the Ron Nunn Kindness and Caring Club that presented their scholarship to a Heritage High student. So that's something that they started doing several years ago and go out every year and give a scholarship from the elementary kids. So that's a fun thing for that. And then we had 18 members that were English learners that were reclassified at a ceremony here. And so I want to congratulate all of them on their great work and progressing. And then Brentwood Mayor Susanna Meyer came out and read at Mrs. Saylor's class at IME. And so thank you for her for coming out and visiting it. And she also gave she was also given a tour by students as well. Pioneer students also had Heritage High students in their Polynesian Dance Club come out and showcase the culture for them for Asian American History Month. So great job to them. And this is a nice story. So Lisa Keneally, who retired a few years out here, just published a book. And so she was actually came to, Mrs. Francis sent these to me. So thank you, Rhonda, for sending these over. But the book is called Welcome to the Enchanted Farmhouse. And she came out and she shared it and with that class. So they got to be some of the first to hear it. And that is my report.
Thank you. We'll now move over to Mr. Casey and your group from Ron Nunn School.
All right, good evening, Board of Trustees, Dr. Eaton, Cabinet, and guests. Thank you for joining us tonight. We're so excited to talk about our restorative justice practices that we've implemented at Ron Nunn School for the last 2 years. This falls under LCAP goal number 3, which is to promote culture that supports learning, and our overall theme as a district of belonging. And we just wanted to say that 96.8% of students, grades 1 through 5, feel like they belong at Ron Nunn School this school year, and we think that's largely in part to these practices that we've implemented that you'll hear tonight. So we began this journey 2 years ago. We participated in trainings in partnership with John Muir, where we learned about community building and repairing harm. We sat through 4 training sessions, and then we were lucky enough that they came back this year. This is our restorative justice team that you can see there. And then I just put the questions up here, these restorative justice questions. They're used to guide conversations in a way that promotes accountability, understanding, and healing. They're typically used in circles or one-on-one meetings, and Miss France and I both have them laminated on our desks. We use them quite frequently. So I just wanted you to see those questions. What happened? What were you thinking at the time? What have you thought about since? What has been affected by what you've done, in what way? And what do you think you need to do to make things right? The impact of this has been very strong in our 5th grade class. So we have what's called major office referrals and minor office referrals, but this is the data on major office referrals. We've had 32 this year from 5th grade. We've only had 1 from the classroom that's implementing the restorative justice community circles. You can see school-wide, TK through 5th grade, we've had 99 major office referrals. Again, 1 from the classroom that's implemented the restorative justice circles. And so now some of our students are here and they're going to talk about what this means to them. So we'll start with Jemima.
Hello, my name is Jemima, and what a class meeting means to me is a special place where we can up our energy and talk about the things that are happening at school or out on the playground. For example, I just got to school late and had to skip breakfast and forgot my water bottle. My energy would probably be pretty low, so a class meeting is a chance for my energy to get higher. It leaves me feeling calmer and ready for the day and to get my tasks done more focused. Hi, I'm Sophia, and to me, a class meeting means a chance to talk about how we feel and what happens outside of class. It also means you could get your energy up with a fun game like 9, Ducks, Story, Blinking Game, 21, or someone could teach us a new game. That is what a class meeting means to me. Hi, I'm Charlie. Class meetings are important to me because we can talk about stuff that is happening out on the playground or other stuff. We can talk about stuff and it stays in our classroom.
Hi, my name is Julene. I'm a 5th grader at Runman. I like class meetings because if there is a problem at school, we could be open and truthful about it during a class meeting. They also lift our moods when we feel blue or tired. I also like class meetings because during them we get to play games and laugh. The last thing I like about class meetings is how it can prepare you for the real world. Sometimes it feels like an office meeting, and from time to time it feels like therapy. And that is what I like about class meetings.
I am Judy Volta, and I wanted to just briefly give you the distinction between a class meeting and what we are calling restorative circles. Same thing, it's just easier for us to say. So in their terms of class meetings, it's the same thing. I am going to talk about how I feel it impacts academics. On the 2 slides, I put the one on the left there for you, Mr. Bowen. Can you see my math tracker? I just wanted that up there. Can you see it? Nice. So the 2 pictures there are math and science, and those are the 2 areas where I think it's most tangible. A restorative practice is not a tangible or quantitative thing that you can measure in the class, but since our practices rely so much on discourse and having a safe environment where we can exchange ideas, I think it's had a great impact. So for example, this morning in math, we had one problem to discuss and that was it. And there was a lot of disagreement. How many answers did we have up there? 4 or 5? And everybody was certain that their answer was the correct one. But it is a safe practice community that we can have those types of conversations. Over there, I wish there was sound to that slide. That's our FOSS. And in fact, we just came fresh off the press. We've got a rubric for sense making in science. And that is very, very reliant on being in an environment where you feel safe and respected and can exchange ideas. In that slide, that's a model of the right ventricle and the left ventricle. And there were things happening where students were saying, look, it's going back in there. Yeah, well, it's a cycle. Well, it's a circulatory system. So the layers of learning were happening as it was going on. So directly related to the restorative justice community building practices, I think. And
So I have this slide up here because I want you to see that when restorative justice practices are implemented effectively, the bulk of the work takes place in tier 1, right? That building the classroom community and making every student feel like they belong. By creating a foundation of trust, respect, and open communication, schools can proactively address issues before they escalate, right? And then we go into tier 2 or tier 3, but that's a lesser amount of students when you have a classroom with such a strong community. But I will say when we get to tier 2 or tier 3, we go back to those questions and we discuss the harm that has occurred. And now I'm going to turn over to our students, and you, board, are going to participate in a circle.
You ready? Okay, so we'll just stand up. All right.
We missed Ms. Francis' slide. Hold on, sorry. Somewhere else? Here we go. Sorry.
Okay, there. My slide got skipped. I was ready for this. I'm Julie France, Vice Principal at Ron. So in Mrs. Volta's class, the students demonstrate the positive behavior and conflict resolution. And as you saw earlier on the slide that gave the data about the referrals, there's one the whole school year, and coming from 5th grade, that's very good. Student disagreements are addressed and resolved during their class meetings, so they don't have to come up to the office. And the students apply those restorative practices when they're out on the playground independently. So then we don't have to really intervene because they take care of it themselves.
Okay. All right, you ready? Who's going to start us off? Okay, here we go. And it's always voluntary. If you don't feel like participating tonight, that's okay.
Welcome, and let's start the circle off with some starfish breathing. Okay, so starfish breathing, you take a deep breath in when going up your fingers, and then you go down, and as you go down, you take a deep breath out. Let's do this about one time. As you breathe. As you breathe, see if you can draw some energy from the room.
Now we will go over the courtesies we will show during a class meeting. Would someone like to read them?
Would someone like to read the courtesies?
Oh, sure. Respect others by listening while others are speaking, considering others' feelings and ideas, and respect boundaries.
Put a thumbs up if you agree with all the courtesies.
Those are door hang on. Actually, and I will tell you, we started off with about 50. So they came up with those and kept carrying them down.
Now we're going to do a quick activity. On the paper in front of you, please write one word that comes to mind when you hear the word education.
One word.
Okay, now you are going to, after you write it, crumple it into a ball and pass it to another person. Do this several times.
Pass it.
Crumple it up and pass it.
Can I go along?
Of course you can.
Do that.
Because you don't want to have your own control.
Oh, we all want to have one?
You all want to have one.
Okay.
All right.
So I can do.
Thank you.
You got one?
Now you can uncrumple your paper. We will go around the table and read our word. Who would like to go first? You got it?
I'll go first. Learning. Oh, critical.
Students.
Learning.
All. Teachers.
School.
Math.
Friends.
That's not mine, because mine was already
It's
read.
mine, it's Billed.
Thank you, doctor.
No, pride.
Did you hear anything repeated, or was there a word that had a meaning to you?
Learning was twice.
I didn't hear exactly.
I didn't either.
Learning. So got all of it, had meaning.
Just by listening, could you tell a difference between a student's answer versus adults?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't think any of us said math.
So I will step in and say this is where the bulk of our meeting happens. So this is where we do a deep dive. The other day we did it about test taking. And we did a similar activity so we can start to really kind of dig in and uncover some of the deeper ideas behind it. And would this be when we use the talking stick, which is why we have the duck? Oh, yeah, the duck is just, short on time. Oh, nice. We won't, that's the talking stick. Talking stick.
So you talk to the duck?
Yeah.
Is that what you do?
You can only talk and roll the duck.
Okay.
Let's close our circle with the game called Duck.
And I will explain the rules, and if you do do not want to play, that is absolutely fine. So we start off just kind of with the briefing. We go into an activity where we can have a good conversation. And then we end it with an activity that might be just a little bit fun. So what one of the students or I will do is point to one of you and say, for example, Dr. Eaton Duck, you duck. And the two people on either side of you try to say the other person's name faster than the other. So if we started there and I say Dr. Eaton Duck, you could say Emil. Oh, yeah, you won.
Okay,
So now you get to call in somebody else and tell them to duck. Chris, duck. Scott. Okay, Janima, quick. Whoa.
I wasn't ducked yet.
You are. Now you can say it.
Sophia.
Jemima.
So, it lasts a lot longer in class, but we'll cut it for the sake of time. Okay. You might recognize this. This is used a lot in Brentwood. Those are our zones of regulations. So we try to do a check-in and check-out. No, I have to explain. She's responsible. Great. And so we try to do a check-in. How are you feeling before you coming into class? And after we have our class meeting, how are you feeling? So we're just going to do the check-out with you. If you want to, Joe.
Let's check in before your meeting. Would anyone like to share their zone?
Oh, I live in the green zone.
Dr. Ian, would you like to share yours?
I would love to. I am also.
So would you like to go around this way?
I was in the green zone.
Wires.
I'm in the green zone too.
I'm in the blue zone.
That's it.
Oh, I already said green for me.
I'm in the blue zone too. Tired. No, I want to make sure people don't know I'm bored, sad, or sick, so I'm tired. I'm in the green zone.
I'm in the green zone.
I'm in the yellow zone.
Ooh.
I'm in the green zone.
Charlie, did you give an answer or no?
Yeah.
Wow. Huh.
Thank you for participating. We hope you have a great rest of your board meeting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and we have a certificate of appreciation for your participation. So if you'll go back over to the side, I'll give them to you.
You guys did a fabulous job. My only question is, one of the favorite games was 21.
Yeah.
And what is that?
Kind of like blackjack?
So we can say 1, 2, 3 numbers. So I would start off like 1, and 2, 3, 4, and then we keep on going. And whoever says 21 is out. So we keep on going until there's like 2 people standing. And whoever says 21 is the loser. And whoever is still standing is the winner.
Thank you. I'm actually relieved that's what it was.
Scott, one more for them?
Thank you.
I like the backdrop.
Yeah.
Just like fourth. Yeah. Third going. What grade?
Huh?
What grade is it?
5th grade.
Fifth grade?
Yeah, Judy's 5th.
Just fifth grade.
Oh,
They look a little, I don't know, they look a little short for 5th grade.
Okay, while they're taking pictures, No. No.
1, 2, 3.
Thank you so much, Rodnan. You guys were incredible. Great job. If we weren't all in the green zone before, we got there because of you. So thank you for your great work. Okay, we're going to turn it over to Michael and Emily, who have a couple of special presentations.
Turn it on. Press the gray button. Wait at the one at the back.
Do you want us to have one of the fifth graders come back? Yeah, okay.
All right, so good evening, board members and members of the community. It is that exciting time of year again where I get to come and celebrate all of the hard work of our induction candidates and their mentors. So this year was a year-long deep dive into belonging and building trust. As Loretta Hammond states in her book that we've been looking at this year, Culturally Responsive Teaching and the Brain, trust is the glue that binds the educational relationships together. Trust frees up our brains to think, to learn, and to grow. And I can tell you our new teachers did a lot of growing this year. As I looked through their individual learning plans, they grew in how to effectively, formatively, and substantively assess students, how to create routines and procedures that support students' learning, both whole group and individually, how to differentiate for various student needs, including those subgroups that are so important to us, like our EL and our SPED students, and how to build lessons that integrate students' own cultures and communities into the larger learning environment. And I could go on and on, there was so much. But as they were able to grow in such varied and powerful ways, it was because their mentors were with them every step of the way over this 2-year journey, building trust and helping candidates free up their brains to think, to learn, to grow, so that they could help their students do the same. As our candidates said in their end-of-year reflections, the best part of your whole program is the mentor. They said things like, the honest rapport between me and my mentor. She's really supportive, but she's also totally honest with me. She's always there for me, of course, during our hour, but also when I just pop in around the corner, which is a lot. She never gives me that face, and she always looks at me and says, so happily, what's up? How can I help? Even when maybe she doesn't want to. I know that he'd step in and help me at any moment. He never really had to, but just knowing that he would, that I wasn't alone, made me take risks that I never would have taken if I didn't have his support. And my favorite one is this. Right? The best part of working with my mentor is when I got to watch her teach. I hope that one day my students look at me with that level of admiration and excitement. As a mentor reminded me this year, the #1 way to build trust is to, quote, be a marigold. Not just to your candidate, but to everyone on your campus. So as I end, and I'm excited to give out these much-deserved certificates of achievement and appreciation, candidates, I end with some good advice from the Cult of Pedagogy's article, Find Your Marigolds. Surround yourself with good people. Find the people that you trust, who help you be a better teacher, who you like working with, and who you enjoy as a human. When you build belonging, those inviting spaces for your students, a place where they are welcomed and known, know that you are also building that space for yourself and for each other, because education is all about belonging. So with that, I'm going to call up our candidates and mentors. Know that the people we are calling up here is a section of who is here. As you can all imagine, May is busy. They have lots of other things to do. Get ready for open houses, finish those ILPs. Their candidates, if you didn't submit, they're due Monday. Grades, all those things. So if they're here, that's great, but that there are many more than the ones that are in this room. So if I can have my candidates and mentors come up, and then we will give those certificates. So if you're a candidate or mentor in the room, come on up. Standing up.
Backdrop.
All right. Leah Water. She's a mentor in our program. Danny McKnight. Michelle Clark. Carolyn Brayton.
The participating teachers get one from this is for the
get one from the board and one from the induction.
Yes, and Rhonda Franta. So as we finish, on behalf of our board and our school district, thank you for your hard work. Thank you for choosing to be a teacher here in Brentwood. Thank you to mentors for supporting our newest teachers. And to all of you, you might think you are done, but remember, I'm sure Chris in a few moments is going to tell us some new teachers that are going to get hired that will need mentors next year. And we hope to see you all back as mentors. Thank you so much.
Congratulations to all, and just a special thanks to Emily Richards, who we continue to be so lucky to employ, and the work that she leads not only in our district, but across multiple districts out here in East County. Thank you, Emily, for your dedication to new teachers and to supporting teachers, and we appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys are always paying for my new ideas and board. I'm sure I'll be back next year to talk about not only induction, but our new residency programs that we are launching this fall to support teachers along the same areas together.
Thank you, Emily.
Do we have any public comment? Then there's no reason to open public comment.
I'll make a motion that we open public comment.
Second.
It's been moved and second, we open public comment. Anyone would like to participate? If not, then I'll entertain a motion to close.
I move we close it.
Second.
Moved in second to close public comment. Moving on to the next item.
Got votes on both of those.
Is consent items. We have 14, 8.0 through 8.13. Is there anyone who would like to pool or discuss any one of the items separately? If not,
Move that we approve items 8.0 through 8.13.
I second.
moved in second to approve the consent items. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. We have no hearing and appeals. Item 10 is reports and other actions, reporting out of closed session. We have no vote or to report out of closed sessions, except we have item 10.1, the expulsion of student 01, 2025-06.
I'll make a motion that we approve the expulsion of student 01, 2025-06 as stipulated.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for item 10.1. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Item 10.2 is an information item on the LCAP process.
Yes, board, we just wanted to continue this item that we go forward at every time this year, and you can see in front of you the draft district goals, which you've seen, and then the timeline and where we are. And just a reminder that in June is when we come back for the LCAP, and that's based off of these goals and also the district budget. It's a two-part process. But what's different this time is you also have all of the feedback from our different groups across our school district. So from district, parent, and student and staff groups, as well as school-specific groups that are there. And that's for your information, and it's what we also use to make any last adjustments to the goals and objectives underneath before we bring it back to you in June. So happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Eaton. Item 10.3.
There we are. Good evening, everybody. Kirsten and I are here to give you an update on our board priority goal. You go to the second one, we have the goal on culture and one more. So So our goal is promoting culture that supports learning. We were last here in November with some updates on this goal, and so we're going to give you updates that bring you to the end of the school year. This slide is more of an agenda, so these are the major action steps and activities that we do related to this goal. So the four are the district-wide and site-level culture and climate committees, the student study team process, the parent engagement work, and the evidence-based behavior supports. So these are the next kind of four topics that I'm going to focus on giving you an update on. So this is the work we've done for our culture and climate committees. Starting last spring, in May of 2024, the district team here, which is Kirsten and I and some principals, met together and we developed expectations for the site level committees. Then in the very beginning of the school year, we shared out those expectations. We refined the process, and then in August, we met with the principals cabinet and shared those out. In February, the cabinet, Kirsten and I led an activity at the Curriculum Council where we reviewed and analyzed the data from the California Healthy Kids Survey. And then those, many principals brought the data and the activities back to their site level. And then moving forward, we have the new TSA position, which will focus on culture, climate, and belonging. And that person will directly support this work. Just to review that position that was brought up, I believe this slide was at our last board meeting. So this, the position will support the district level culture climate committee as well as the site level committees. They'll help with the ongoing professional development related to culture, climate, and belonging, including the ongoing training of restorative justice training. It was nice to see tonight. They will help with the school sites supporting tier 1 behavior and classroom management strategies, as well as systems and resources to improve student connectedness and the whole child. And then they will coordinate and facilitate the different equity audit recommendations that came out of that report. So we've been reporting out the process with this renovation of the SST process. So we've done quite a bit again since spring of last year. We developed a team, we picked the platform of Edgenuity, we tested out Edgenuity, then we ended up picking the exact forms we were going to use. So at this point, the team has been meeting to review the process and then the drafted forms, and now we have a subcommittee working to continue to review and refine the process. This is to standardize the process across all the sites. And then, so we'll continue doing this work. This is a slide from my recent All Abilities event. So just this last Saturday, May 3rd, we held a family picnic at Marsh Creek. We've had 5 events this year, 2 bowling, 1 karaoke, 1 movie night, and then this family picnic. This was a huge success. I think there were roughly, over the 2-hour period, probably like 150 families, 150 people. I want to point out in that one slide of all of the adults, that's all staff members. So in that picture, we have 3 teachers, 2 paras, 1 program specialist, myself, 2 behaviorists, and 2 secretaries. So the staff that come out to support these events is just outstanding. I mean, we had a DJ, we had a photo booth, we barbecued hot dogs, we had face painting, we had a chalk art activity, and then the little girl who's holding a bubble, we had a parent give us 3 crates full of bubble wands and pinwheels. So when you came into the campus, you could just take your pinwheel and bubble wand, and kids got to go away with something. And that mom couldn't even come, and she actually texted me and said, "Can you meet my kids in the parking lot? I have all of the gifts for you, and go ahead and keep the crates." So people showed up with food, water, toys. It was so wonderful. So we'll continue doing those events. We're going to do 5 again next year, probably 2 bowling, 2 family picnic, and then 1 karaoke. I also want to point out that one of the adults in the picture who's a para for us now, I met her at a bowling event for her son, and then she became a para in our district. So it's been really awesome for building community. The next slide is other types of outreach we've done. So as our special ed department, we host BEST meetings. And those first 4 are topics we did: AAC, IEP overview, transitions, and executive functioning. We'll continue to do the BEST trainings every other month next year. We also collaborated with the Child Abuse Council, and they led an 8-week parent training course at Marsh Creek. That was Spanish speaking only. And then we're bringing in Congreso Familiar, which is also Spanish speaking only. It's a resource for Spanish speaking parents who have special ed kids for education and outreach. So they're going to be here on Thursday, May 22nd. And that's literally like I have to have an interpreter because it's an entirely Spanish event, you know. So we're going to keep collaborating with them to support that group of our families. And then we do provide ongoing preschool parent trainings. And then the last is the evidence-based behavior supports. We continue with our social emotional curriculum for TK 8, continue with our NCI, and that's for certificated and classified staff. Sorry, never good at this thing. And then continuing the collaboration between special ed and general education staff to like support with behavior support resources. And then I'm really excited about the training for classified staff that we now have a TSA for the purpose of supporting classified staff. So in our department, it's a paraprofessional / one-to-one aid support and training. So this person will help onboard new staff, provide the initial critical training, coordinate the NCI training, and also be able to do site-based para trainings. So that's my part.
Okay, now we move into suspension data. So when we came about 6 months ago, we talked about our goal was to reduce our suspension data when we received that from the dashboard. And we have reduced it, not as much as we had hoped. We'd hoped to reduce it by 0.5%. We did reduce it by 0.2%, so that is a decrease, just not as much as we had hoped. So that's something that we can be proud of. Our staff is doing so many different things. They're doing other means of correction, restorative circles like Ranan was talking about, many different ideas of trying to have students reflect on their behavior and strategies to try to reduce those suspensions. Something I wanted to also bring up is that Michael had talked earlier at one point when you were presenting this year about our differentiated assistance that we have fallen into again because of our homeless category of students, and that is because of our data here that you see for our homeless students. So that our numbers of students have doubled, as we've talked about before, and then their suspension data increased, so that didn't make us fall into that category for the assistance. The assistance is some processes that we have with the county coming in and to facilitate some groups and talking about other means of correction, talking about some processes, empathy interviews, things like that, that our administrators are working together with. We work with Byron, Knightson, and Oakley, and we all work together in trying to find ways to reduce these discipline ideas and things like that. Also, there's our goal that we were trying to meet that we fell a little short, so we will see what our data looks like at this year. But we are always trying to do the best thing for kids, regardless of meeting. We would like to meet this goal, but meeting the needs of kids is always our first goal. I would like to just talk about our school counseling services. I'm going to pass these out if we can. Chris, can you take these ones, please? But our school counselors, as you know, work so very hard. I know when they came and presented earlier in the year, you saw all the things that they are doing to outreach with groups, with one-on-one services for kids, with safety checks with children, with conflict mediations. They really oversee and support our second step program, which is our in common social emotional program for our students. They do suicide prevention education for all of our 8th graders. They have different other like books and things that they read with our lower grade students, and they are involved in all of our committees school-wide at every campus. So their outreach is really just wide and varied, and they really are that net that really connects so many of our campuses. And so the data that you have in front of you is really showing how many contacts they have with multiple students and every school. And when they came and visited talked to the board earlier this year, they had about 45,000 contacts that they had with students, and now they're up above 75,000. So you just see how much impact they have on our campuses. And so I know that your decisions and the support that we have of our counseling program is really, really critical with making sure that we support all of our kids. So I wanted to share that with you. Is there any questions about that before I keep going? Okay. And then on the back of that page is the Care Solace data. This is the group that we work with that helps to pair families with services. So our staff help to make that connection for families with their outside providers. So we just make that connection. They use, Steve, I see you. I'm trying to make it as big as possible, but we help to make that connection for families. So they use their own insurance and then this provider helps to constantly make that contact with the family if they're in need of support in order to help them make their own therapist appointments and that kind of thing to provide care. So you see all the contacts that we've had there, and yes, I need my glasses too, but the total communications has been over 5,000, and that's a lot of time and support that our families have needed. So in this next slide just shows that it's the gender, age, ethnicity has been varied for all of our families as well. And we will obviously keep working with everybody. We will be outreaching to all of our families, and that is our board update tonight. Are there any questions?
Thank you.
Okay.
Really.
And then I'm going to stay with you.
Moving to item 10.4, the approval of mobile device policy. This is an action item.
Okay. Sorry.
I'll make a motion that we approve the mobile device policy.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve item 10.4. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0.
We do
Is there
have a short
question?
presentation on it that
Oh,
we'd
I'm
like to
sorry.
do.
We really weren't rushing.
Yeah. And so just a highlight. I know.
You guys are awesome. That sounds good to me.
And I know you've seen it before. And so maybe,
Yeah.
Kristen, you could just talk about a couple of the highlights.
I'll do
Good
a couple
job.
Highlights. Thank you. That's what I like to do. Hey. All right. So this is our mobile policy, as you've already approved. So fantastic. It's aligned to Assembly Bill 3216 that all school districts have to have some kind of a policy, and we are ahead of the game because it's supposed to be approved by next July. So good job, everybody, for approving it ahead. This is just our timeline that in March we first presented it, and now we've approved it. So now we'll be communicating that it has been approved, and we'll share that with our community. And we, just to give you a little highlight, in April, we did have a family evening that was not well attended, but we did put it on our website in order so families could watch that presentation and also watch a slideshow, and that is where families can go and get more information. The next timeline I'll just quickly share is that now that it's out, the students will have presentations from their teachers starting tomorrow, and so they will get that presentation as well. Then we will just start doing a lot of social media. I say a lot, like a few social media posts, but also just to remind that this is coming to the students. Staff was communicated with right after we had the board presentation. They also have had chances to talk with their principals about it as well. So I'm just speeding through this. Family communication overview. I shared an email to the entire school community, invited them to the family evening, and then they also were notified that this is happening, and they'll get another informational email tomorrow. So it's been requested there'll be a back to school night presentation. There'll be a slide that's included for all teachers so they can remind everybody. Students, I have just a little something from that. We had the leadership students, the ASB, we had a focus group last Friday for all the middle schools. And some of the feedback was kind of humorous. So I just want to share a couple of highlights. So some of them said, yes, we understand that the district is looking out for our best interests. So that was nice. But one student said, well, I find it annoying, but also I understand that it's also important at the same time. So that's typical middle schooler, kind of about anything, I think. Some of them had some good ideas about how to enforce the rules, like, putting posters in the classroom, morning announcements. That was a good idea. There's multiple schools said that when given the strikes, because they know that there's a strike warning, there's warning plan for the consequences, thought that they should start over every quarter. So something we can talk about, but I thought that was multiple groups thought, right? Yeah, how many strikes do you get? So that was interesting. They felt it was needed, but they said this is how they can be social. They said, how can they be social in their group? And I'm thinking that they're children. So that was interesting. And then one said, which is just very true, when you tell someone they can't do something, they want to do it more. So that kind of sums it up. So, but, like the kids said, like posters and campaigns to keep it, going, I think is really important. The social media campaign is, this is the policy, this is what you could do instead, how you could communicate. And then our family information site on our Brentwood School District website just has, the slideshow, some FAQs clarifying, and then research on there about why it's a good idea. So that's the plan.
Thank you, Ms. Job. And I think, Kirsten, and you had a team that worked with you through this, and so you want to acknowledge your team real quick?
Lisa Bustillos, Lenore Medina. Who else is here that was on the team? Abby Wheeler was on our team. A couple other teachers, Alex Torres, and who else? I think that was most of our.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
And thank you to those. I think for us, just on a serious note, is what we've learned from other districts that have gone out early and done these policies is they've seen tremendous changes in their students in terms of engagement because of the impact that phones have on them. But in the beginning, it's been challenging because we have lots of kids that are addicted to their phones, and so it's going to be important that all of us, and why we think it's so important that the board passes this and we do it so publicly is because it's going to be important for us all to be able to stand behind when teachers are having those difficult discussions with students and parents, and then with administrators are too, that we're standing behind saying we are all in support of this, right? Because it's best and it's going to take a while to get through, but this is important. And so we'll continue to come back and give you data about how it's going as we go through, but we expect a little bump in the beginning, and then we're hoping that we see some of those results that other districts have seen.
If also the staff, let's remind the staff also, because I've seen it, so can't have it. They should be able to. Yeah, it is. It's one of the challenging things, right, is that we've all come to use our phones for so many things, right? So sometimes I'm certainly guilty of it, right? As you'll see me out on a campus and I'm using my phone, and sometimes I'm using it to communicate with somebody real quick, and sometimes it's probably something that could wait for something later. And so, yeah, I think it's all something that we struggle with. I agree. Unless you're checking the Warriors score or something along that. That's cool.
I'm trying to stay in the green zone.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else for Kirsten? We already took a vote, so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kirsten.
Sliding you.
And thank you everybody else who was a part of that as well. We appreciate your partnership.
Michael, item 10.5 is the approval of state mandated reading difficulty risk screener. Not going to.
Yeah, Lindsay was saying, go ahead and approve if you want to.
No pre-approval for you guys.
All right. Thanks a lot. We're here to talk to you a little bit about the reading difficulty risk screener that was part of SB 114. I mentioned this in a previous presentation this year, but we have a new assessment that's required to be implemented next year. And you can see there a little bit of the timeline that the state went through. But one of the things we're required to do is to approve the screening instrument, the assessment we're going to use, have that board approved. So that's why we're here tonight. And then we have to implement that assessment in the 2025-26 school year. There is a little bit of funding available for this, and we're going to talk in a little bit about what the costs are, but that funding is not for the program. It's only available for professional development to implement the program, and it amounts to about $21.16 per student. So I think if I remember correctly, our allocation will be somewhere in the $20-something thousand range. Is that correct? More. Okay. I brought Lindsay Waite with me. Lindsay is our our coordinator for educational programs in the C&I department, and it will be her job to oversee the implementation of this, and she's really the expert in the field. So I'm going to turn it over to Lindsay to continue the presentation.
So as Michael mentioned, the timeline is actually pretty quick for the state. And so I'll mention part of that as I talk today. So as outlined by the state, the purpose of the screener is to provide early identification of reading difficulty and intervention for students based on need. The screening is used to inform individualized instruction and provide more data for both parents and educators. And lastly, the assessments are to be able to be provided in both English and for non-English speaking students. The state also outlined guidelines for administering the screener. The district must adopt the screener by the end of this year. All K through 2 students must be screened annually by a trained school employee. There is language support to be provided. So students are supposed to be assessed in their primary language when available. And I'll mention a little bit further along that some of the screeners are really mostly provided in English and Spanish. If the screener is not available in the student's primary language, the district must evaluate the student's history using an intake form. Okay. The district can decide when to administer the screener. If a new enrollee, a new student comes in after that window is closed, they must be evaluated within 45 days unless the previous district can prove that the student was already screened. And then lastly, there are some student exemptions for students who are currently undergoing evaluation for an IEP or have a 504 as well. In December, the state approved 4 screeners for districts to choose from: UCSF Multitudes, HMH Amira, Amplify M-Class Dibbles, and Stanford Roar. So only 4 choices. On March 10th, together with Liza Barr and myself, we put together an adoption committee. So we came together to review the list of screeners put out by the publishers. You can see a list of representation there for both K-1-2 teachers, elementary principal, ISP, and intervention. After we had some time to review the 4 screeners, the committee came together to propose that we adopt UCSF Multitudes. As you can see, the cost is free for both training and student licenses, and it will remain that way. It does provide screening for K through 2 students. It's available in both English and Spanish. So we would create an intake form for students, again, who do not meet that primary language requirement. The training is asynchronous, about 1 to 3 hours. The administration is once a year. It takes about 10 minutes per student. So we'll have teachers assess students one-on-one. The universal screener tasks, there are 4 per grade level, and you can see the extensive list there. And the results are shown on the screen immediately once the student is done taking the screener. It provides both an overall universal screener score and individual task scores for the 4 listed above. You might be wondering what the state has asked for assessment results. So the assessment results are provided, again, as I mentioned, immediately. If a student is identified as at risk based on reading difficulty, the district shall provide follow-up interventions. That might include progress monitoring, pull-out intervention in the classroom intervention, one-on-one tutoring. Good news, BUSD already provides an elementary intervention program, so we are already meeting that requirement. 2 important things to note is that these results cannot be used as a diagnosis of a disability, and they cannot establish eligibility for special education or a 504. So finally, I'll wrap up with where we are with the implementation timeline. Currently bringing it to you tonight on May 14th. We're hoping to train our adoption committee tomorrow in multitudes as a trial period before we have our full rollout next year. We would like to provide parent communication at back to school night or during that first round of parent conferences. We'll do test examiner training on our November 4th professional learning day for the district. And then our testing window will be in January so that we can provide results to parents in person during our parent-teacher conferences at the end of that month. And then, as I mentioned, after that, we have the implementation of the intervention based on student results and continuing to test any newly enrolled students.
I'd really like to thank Lindsay for her work getting us to this point. I do believe this is our best avenue with this program, and so this is for your consideration for action.
If nobody has any questions, I move that we approve the state mandated reading difficulties risk screener.
I'll second.
Item 10.5 has been moved and seconded. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Item 10.6 is the approval of salary schedules. This is also an action item.
Yeah, good evening, board. I want to let you know that the next 11 items are mine, so you'll be hearing me a lot here. So 10.6, approval of salary schedules. This is our classified salary schedules as they pertain to our CLC Teamsters group and our confidential supervisory. These are the negotiated salary schedules to be signed by the board president and then to be posted on our website for your approval tonight.
Move that we approve item 10.6 salary schedules.
I'll second.
Item 10.6 is moved and seconded. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Salary schedule is approved. Item 10.7, approval of 2025-26 collective bargaining sunshine.
This is the sunshining of our collective bargaining agreement with the Brentwood Teachers Association. And next year, the entire contract is up for negotiation for our 3-year term. And so we're bringing this for you tonight for approval for the sunshine of that of all the articles.
Move that we approve item 10.7, the 25-26 collective bargaining sunshine.
I'll second.
Item 10.7 has been moved and seconded. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It passes 5-0 for the approval of collective bargaining sunshine. Item 10.8 is the approval of 25-26 collective bargaining sunshine.
This is similar. This is with our CLC Teamsters group. They are sunshining the entire CBA, and so we'll be negotiating that next year. And so we're bringing that before to you tonight for a vote.
I'll just keep going. I move that we approve item 10.8, the 25-26 collective bargaining sunshine with CLC Teamsters.
I'll second.
Item 10.8 has been approved and seconded. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It passes 5-0. Item 10.9 is a little different. This is the approval of the Transitional Kindergarten Memorandum of Understanding, MOU.
Yeah, we're bringing the MOU for TK before you tonight. This is the result of the work of 11 sessions of bargaining. I want to thank Bridget, I want to thank Rhonda and Dina Silvers, Lisa, Nick Casey, and Michael Bowen for their work on this. As you know, we're trying to balance state requirements as well as the needs of staff and students, and with the limited resources that we receive for the state. So that's what we brought with you tonight is that MOU.
I'll make a motion that we approve 10.9, the TK Memorandum of Understanding as written in the agenda.
I'll second.
Item 10.9 has been moved and seconded. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. It passes 5-0. Item 10.10 is the approval of Health and Welfare Memorandum of Understanding.
Yeah, this is significant. This is the first time in USD's history where we are bringing before you an MOU that was bargained with all representative groups in the room, including our confidential supervisory group. This continues the work over the past 2.5 years as we've been bringing all of our representative groups together and working through healthcare and trying to combat the healthcare costs, the rising healthcare costs, and our movement away from Keenan and in our adoption of moving with VIBA. And so we're bringing this MOU before you tonight for a vote as we increase the district contribution to two-party and to family.
I approve item 10. I move to approve 10.10, approval of Health and Welfare Memorandum of Understanding.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, and we approve the Health and Welfare Memorandum of Understanding. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It passes 5-0. Item 10.11 is approval of tentative agreement. This is an action item.
This is approval of the agreement with CSEA. This was the entire contract that we've been negotiating throughout this year. And so we're bringing before you that tentative agreement as well as an MOU concerning workload. And I want to thank the members of CSEA, Michael and Natasha Gerardo, Lynn Moore, and Cecily Melendez, and as well as Kristen Neeson and Diane Daschler as we met at the table throughout this year to put together this contract for a 3-year term.
All right. Move that we approve item 10.11, the tentative agreement with CSEA.
I'll second.
Item 10.11, approval of tentative agreement has been moved and seconded. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I know it's a lot of work. Thank you. Item 10.12 is the approval of English learner position restructure.
Yeah, so in the past, we had this as a coordinator position, and then it was turned into a TSA. We're bringing it back as a coordinator position as the state requirements have gotten more of a comprehensive state. I'm sorry, I got totally tongue-tied on that one. The state has lots of compliance issues with this. We're also eliminating, as a result of this, the contractors that we're using. So in the long run, this is actually a cost savings measure as we move this TSA position into a coordinator role.
I'll make a motion to approve English learner position restructure.
Second.
This item 10.12 has been moved and seconded. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It passes 5-0. 10.13 is approval of the job description for long-term substitute position.
Yeah, this is a requirement from CalPERS. We are losing a beloved secretary in our district, and Lizette, who's moving on to Lawrence Livermore Lab. And our hope to fill this position is with a retiree, and so we have to bring this before you for the sake of CalPERS as we fill it with a retiree annuitant.
I think so just not permanently, but in a temporary.
Not permanently in a temporary position.
As you're posting it.
I move we approve item 10.13, job description for a long-term substitute position.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the job description for long-term substitute position, item 10.13. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes. Item 10.14, approval of job description and classification for Director of Financial Services.
Yeah, this is our fiscal services position. We've posted the coordinator position twice. We extended it by 2 weeks. In our first round, we do not have any viable candidates. Lots of folks from the private sector who don't have a clear understanding of budget development as it pertains to a school district. And so what we're bringing forward to you tonight is a movement from the coordinator position to a director position. And so it will be reflective of the coordinator of technology's position as far as salary is concerned. So it's about an $18,000 increase. And so currently that position is being filled by a contractor, and we want to move to approval of a district fiscal services director.
I'll make a motion that we approve 10.14, the job description and classification for Director of Fiscal Services.
I'll second.
Item 1014 has been moved and seconded. And those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It passes 5-0. Yes, we get someone else. Item 1015. Diane, please take over.
Yes, in working with our coordinator of food services, Kristen Nissen, we have worked to develop and are requesting the addition of a culinary supervisor position, which is very exciting, to oversee the food operations and supervisory in the kitchens. And since 2023, the food services department has contracted with Brigade, which you've heard about, the in-house chef that they've provided for learning and training. So we will be ending that contract for a full-time chef. They will be providing some training, but we want to bring it in-house. And so this is a position that will be equal level to the supervisor food service position now, which is a confidential supervisory position. And there's a new job description to go along with it.
Sometime you'll have to ask Diane. Her background in this area is quite comprehensive and wonderful.
Thank you. Oh, and I don't want to forget to say that right now we're paying about $150,000 a year for this contracted service. It's out of the food service Fund 13 budget, but this will obviously reduce the cost as well.
Excellent.
Entertain a motion.
Yeah, I approve. I keep doing it. I move we approve item 10.15. The job description for food services culinary supervisor.
Second.
Item 1015 has been moved and seconded. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Item 10.16 is the approval of declaration of need for fully qualified educators.
Yeah, this is something we bring before the board every year at this time, is that we fully expect that, or anticipating that as we hire staff members for next year, we will have staff members that do not have a credential or not fully credentialed, especially as it pertains to special education. And so as a requirement from the state, we bring this before you so that you are aware of that, and it is an action item for your vote.
I'll make a motion to approve 10.16, declaration of need for fully qualified educators.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for item 10.16. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Item 1017 is an action item.
So 1017 is actually, we give you a break from the action item, so it's just an informational item, but it is multiple policies. Nicole Clevin has done a great job making sure that our policies are up to date and keeping us on them. And so you'll see, again, these come to you for a first read with an overview of what are the legal changes and the reasons behind it. And we're happy to answer any questions. And otherwise, they will come back for a second read and approval in our next agenda in June.
Thank you. Does any board member have any item they would like to agendize for next meeting?
I don't have an agendized item, but I would like to request that somebody give me the numbers on the middle school open house to see how many participants were there and how many 40 classes. There was 22 people that showed up, or whatever the case may be. I'd appreciate it.
Thank you, Scott. Anyone else?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded. We adjourn. We'll see you all on June 11th. Until then, we should have wonderful graduations. Thank you all.
Middle school, we'll
Thanks,
see you
everybody.
sooner.